Has this ever happened to you? It's happened to me. We're going to show you in this video a few tips and things to avoid when using the toggle free mode when placing buildings or things with triggers, or well, anything for that matter, so stay tuned. Greetings everyone, Looney Farm Guy here with a little video to help you with placing silos or anything for that matter, but especially things that have triggers like animal barns or silos. And the toggle free mode has been an awesome tool that has been added to Farming Simulator 22. However, it does have some dangers, as you can see here, that may cause you some really terrible problems or impossible trigger positions such as this that may occur and could cause you an enormous amount of problem, cost you a lot of money, in-game money that is, anyways, or even ruin a farm that you have so carefully planned or carefully set out. Okay, so let's start with placing a building. Now, before I show you that, the flat ground is as much as it looks flat here. And you'd say, wow, that's totally flat. Well, actually it isn't, because even as flat as ground may look, I don't think there is anything really flat on any maps on Farming Simulator. And I'll show you by, I'm going to place down a really large, let's see, how large can we place that? Yeah, let's do this. Let's place it here. And see how it's, when you place a large building, it's going to level out in the normal placing mode. It's going to level out an area where it places down so that all the triggers are going to be exposed properly, such as this, and a little bit around. And so notice, as flat as you thought this whole area was, just putting down this building has this basically a adjustment in the level of the ground here. And if we run over to the back, I'm sure there's going to be a bit of a dip down. Yeah, see? So from this spot here to the other end, there's probably a drop of a couple feet, or a height difference of 2 or 3 feet, maybe a bit more. Right, so you're going to see that when you're placing down a building, say something, especially large buildings. Small buildings are not as obvious, but even, let's see, we place actually, yeah, okay, well, I placed that already with the touch of a button. That's why, so you have to be careful. Right, so I know I'm spending a little bit of time on this, but it's to demonstrate what happens when you place. See, look at this. Look at how much of a elevation, how much it deformed the ground. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. It's like, oh, now it's deformed. So, okay, so let's get rid of these. And it kind of will show you a little bit, even show you a little bit more about how deformed the ground gets. Right? Okay, so when placing a building or anything for that matter, but the one things that are the most concerning when placing down buildings or such is the trigger. So there's it's silos. We have animal barns, say like a open pastured sheep type barn. You have these triggers there. And see, when I move into the flat area here is great, but when I move into the, if we get close up here, it starts, you're going into an area that's the level of the ground changes, and if it's not flat, those trigger areas start getting buried underground. Now let's get my help window on. There we go. So, back to the sheep barn again. So, we are on the toggle free mode is off. So if I move it over here, we're going to see, oh, this sheep barn conforms to, yes, okay. This is a bad example because this sheep farm conforms, some of them conform to the ground shape, right? Let's go to something that does not. There we go. The fence does, but the building does not. See how when you're moving it over the ground, it goes like, well, like this. The ground kind of like goes over top of things, and so it's an extreme example, right? Over here, you think you're going to be all right, but if you place it down, it's going to deform the ground around it because it's leveling. Now, here's the danger of the toggle free. Say you're trying to place it here, overlaps with an object, or if you're trying to get it really close to another building and says, no, you can't do that, you press the triangle, right? And it's like, oh yeah, no problem, I can place it there. But there's a huge danger in that toggle free mode, as I've shown you with these two buildings, is if you place it down, it's like, oh, okay, I can put it here. I want to put it there. Let's put it there. Well, because of the shape of the ground and where I forced it down, the ground has covered this and quite possibly has prevented me from using this trigger here at all. I might not be able to put any food in there at all. And if I put it somewhere where it's covered the entire trigger, you're toast. You're not going to be able to. As a matter of fact, it has covered the trigger to put animals in, so now I can't put, oh, open animals. So yeah, I'm lucky I can do it. But you see the problem, right? So how do you prevent this? Well, of course you have to, for the first thing is to be aware that this happens when you hit that toggle free mode. The second one is if there is a spot in which you do want to put something down and it is close to another building, it's a little tricky, but leveling the area like so. Let's change this to square. There we go. Is something you can do to ensure that you have a perfectly flat spot. Now, there's a couple of things, and I am not a landscaping expert by any means, shape, or form, and this is not a tutorial about how to level or anything, but just a little tip on what you can do and how possibly it can be accomplished. So there are many people that much more skilled at this, but I'm going to attempt it here. I'm going to press X, and now anything from this point, so if you stop here and you press your X and hold it down, anything from this spot as you move around is going to change, is going to adjust the level of the ground to whatever level I am at this particular spot. Let's start it over here, for example, a nice flat spot here, and just watch what happens. I'm going to put the strength up to maximum, so it's you can by going up and down on your D-pad, you can adjust your strength, and you can see that by how light or dark it is. We're going to crank it right up just to illustrate how it works. Okay, I'm pressing X now, and I'm going to move. And as I move forward, we are going to see, well, I'm there. Oh, man. Yeah, if you're standing on the spot, it's not going to do it. So you can see as I'm moving forward, it's leveling the ground from that spot. So anywhere I go, it's hard to see, but you can see the results. It has now leveled this spot perfectly flat from the spot I chose. And you can kind of see how much it's doing too by how fast your money is going down, because it's going to charge you for this. Don't forget. And it's not very fast. Not like Farm Sim 19 where it would like pretty much instantly do it. It's kind of like a slow leveling process, and it's literally taking a long time to do this. But anyways, let's show you the results. As you can see, the area that I was massaging, as it were, because I think that's what more or less it seems like it does. It's flattened mostly. And now, as I said, again, I'm no expert at how this works, but it is a few things you can do to try and flatten. Now, there's another that you have: slope, soften, level, or raise lower. Raise lower, it's just going to push up or down the ground around it. So that's kind of scary for me. We can do a soften. Now, so what soften does is it kind of it smooths the edges, as it were. So if we're going to go over top of these areas here, let's make it a little smaller. There we go. Around these edges, it's going to like bring up it's going to like as if you took something and you're smoothing that bump so that it's less of a sharp bump and more of just a smooth slope going down and up. Anyways, back to placing. Let's go to productions, and let's go to something like I've had a problem with before. Is this one? You see, there's a trigger in the middle, which is not usually that much of a problem, but the trigger on the end. Oh, excuse me, I had to sneeze. Didn't think you'd want to hear that. This trigger on the end here is something, if you can see, if you go into a slope, it's good there, and then as you come here, it's getting buried. And I've placed an object just recently that's like, oh man, I buried the trigger, and then now I can't use it. So with the toggle free mode on, and we're going around, it's like, oh, it looks good there. I'm just going to place it like this. It doesn't use the automatic leveling if you put toggle free, and now this trigger is buried. And depending on how the trigger is set up, if it's set up that it has a large area where it accepts product from, say, higher up dropping, then you're fine. But if it's a trigger that's only detects it if it's basically on the ground, you have pooched this, and you won't be able to put anything in it. The unload trigger comes from up top. So usually this one's anything that's dropping down, you're pretty good okay at. But anything that has to go down and hit the ground, triggers like this, or feed triggers in barns or so forth, that could be a problem. Also sell points. And yeah, so because you want to avoid things like this, because it's going to cost you money and make things pretty much unusable. So it's tricky, but I think as long as you're aware of these few things, and why it does it and how to avoid it, I think you're going to be okay, and maybe make less mistakes. Hopefully, less mistakes than I make. But anyways, there you have it. Those are your tips, and with a little bit of landscaping tips for this video. I'm Looney Farm Guy. Thank you for watching, and just remember, it's only a game. So till next time, bye for now.